What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. I am in my room. It is mood lighting. It is red because of Alien Romulus. So I'm here to review Alien Romulus, and I've just gotten back, and man, I had a great time with this movie. I like full, I guess. Disclosure, I am a big fan of the Alien franchise. I first saw Ridley Scott's original Alien film probably early high school, which is way too young to have seen that movie. And I thought it was pretty fantastic. You know, it really captured my imagination. This idea of like this perfect organism, this like the survival, this whole idea of this organization or company in Weyland-Yutani trying to preserve the alien for their own nefarious means. I thought it was really fantastic, but like also like the imagery as well. H.R. Geiger's like pretty crazy and out there sort of like alien designs. I thought it was fantastic. A big fan of James Cameron's movie as well, Aliens. That ramps the stakes up a whole lot. You know, Sigourney Weaver's becoming a whole different character and into her own in that movie. And I think I'll talk about the other ones in a bit. I'll rank my favorite films in the franchise, but talking about this movie, Alien Romulus, I thought this was a blast. This movie's being directed by a newcomer to this franchise, Fede Alvarez, and I have to say, when Fede Alvarez was announced, I was really excited. I'm a big fan of his Evil Dead reboot. You can listen to that episode on the podcast. I think it might be on our Patreon, so I'm sorry, but you're going to have to pay. Head to patreon.com/minute double feature. But like also, I was a big fan of Don't Breathe. I think this guy's just really got the sauce. He knows how to make a movie, and this movie is visually gorgeous, like visually stunning. It's nothing. It's no less gorgeous than you've seen in the previews and the trailers, because the trailers make it out to be this amazingly gorgeous film that's like the cinematography is absolutely stunning, the set design is amazing, the lighting is brilliant. It really does take you back to, because it takes place between Alien and Aliens, it really does take you back to that era. It's not that sort of glossy sheen from Prometheus or Alien Covenant. It's really that sort of like old school kind of like cobbled together feel of the first one. And I thought the set design and the production design and the cinematography and the whole vibe of the movie was just absolutely insane. So I like huge props to that. The cast is completely new. Kaylee Spaney, who you might have seen in Civil War or Priscilla. I thought she was pretty fantastic. She plays the lead, and she's kind of giving off real sort of like. I'm just looking at my fucking monitor here. She plays a character named Rain. I don't think they ever call her that once. So, and David Johnson, who is from Industry. If you've seen HBO's Industry, he is. The less said about him, the better. There's a lot to spoil here, surprisingly, because when you come into an Alien movie, I don't think a lot of people are going for story. I think a lot of people are going for the xenomorph or the kills, whatever, the suspense. But there's actually quite a bit of story here. There's quite a bit of mythology in this franchise. So if you can, avoid it as much as you can. Avoid spoilers as much as you can, because there's quite a lot here to spoil. So I thought those two were pretty incredible. David Johnson and Kaylee Spaney. I thought, yeah, if I am being honest, I thought it did lose itself in the last sort of 10 minutes or so. This movie does feel like a labor of love. It feels like Fede Alvarez was a big fan of the franchise. And there is a lot of references to the original. There's a lot of there's a lot of reverence for the original, and I'm not saying that he doesn't bring anything new to the franchise. He absolutely does. There are like one or two attempts at trying something that didn't quite work for me, but you might know when you see them. If you do see them, or if you do know what I'm talking about, send me a message, because There are a couple of things in here that are like, oh damn, but there are a couple of things that do work, absolutely, and it feels like Fede Alvarez was like given the keys to the kingdom and was just like, okay, let's go, let's run with this, and he kind of played in Ridley Scott's sort of like sandbox here. But yeah, look, anyone who's a fan of the originals, particularly Alien, Ridley Scott's original, should have a good time with this. Um, okay, so ranking. If I'm going to rank these movies, like I said, a big fan. I've seen all of them. Played the games. I'm just going to rank the movies. So if I'm starting off, I don't know how many they are, so I'm going to go in ascending order. So my number one is Alien, the original Alien. I think that first one is quite brilliant, man. I think the first like 30 minutes is some of the best filmmaking I've ever seen in my life. Just the sort of like suspense, or like the beacon, for help, or distress beacon that they get called out there to LV 426 is just so like captivating. And once you get there, you're just like, even though I know what's going on because this is a franchise that's been going on for 40 years nearly. Um, I'm still like on the tip of my toes. And obviously my number two is Aliens, James Cameron's masterpiece. I mean, like it's science fiction action film masterpiece, but like you're introduced to a whole cast of characters who just absolutely ramp things up, like Hicks and Hudson, rest in peace, Bill Paxton, but also Bishop, and Bishop plays a huge part in the second one and also the third one. And I think the action sequences in the second one are ramped up to 11. There's that famous story about how James Cameron, when he pitched the film, he wrote on a whiteboard "aliens" and then drew a dollar sign through the S, which is quite funny. And then he also had a terrible time making that film in England, where they sort of had like tea breaks, and James Cameron's well known for sort of like being a on the go sort of like director. There's so much behind the scenes strife behind that movie, and it's an absolute miracle that it turned out as good as it was. My third favorite would probably have to be Alien Romulus. I do think that it's the most cohesive film after those two. The other ones that I'm going to talk about are quite sort of like have quite a lot of issues. And I thought, as I said, Romulus was just so well put together. It was a labor of it felt like a labor of love, felt like a great homage to the first one, and also introduced some new elements as well. Kaylee Spaney being the lead, absolutely killed it. And they do. It's so tough to talk about because there's one sequence that I really am dying to talk about. But yeah, just go in not knowing anything. My fourth would have to be probably Alien Covenant, just because Alien Covenant is this kind of like, let's take this back to the original as much as we can with the lore that we've got. So, we've got Michael Fassbender being an absolute. I mean, like he's a hell of an actor, man. Like in his sort of like dual role. But I thought like that movie is also gorgeous, beautiful to look at, and some of the like there's a part where sort of like the spores sort of like go through the ear canal, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. But the aliens in that are absolutely savage, I thought. Number five would probably have to be David Fincher's Alien 3, which also is plagued with a lot of trouble. Number six, I'm up to probably Prometheus. And I thought, I was really hyped when Prometheus came out back in 2015. I was working at the movies. I was seeing the trailer a lot, and I was so hyped. And I think I was really keen to see Ridley Scott come back to the franchise after so long, but it was this sort of like, it was afraid to be an Alien movie. It really wanted to be something new, and it definitely was. I just don't think it was fully fleshed out enough. But again, absolutely stunning movie. with some pretty solid performances, particularly from Idris Elba and Charlize Theron. And also, so number 7 would have to be Alien Resurrection. I think it's got a lot of problems, but again, goes back to when I was younger, and I just have fond memories of it. It's quite cheesy. Ron Perlman, shout out, man, I love you. And then way in the back, so number 8 and 9, it would be Alien versus Predator. Firstly, number 8 is the Paul W.S. Anderson Alien versus Predator. I mean, it's quite poor. And then number 9 is Alien versus Predator. Aliens versus Predator? Aliens versus Predator Requiem, which is probably the most poorly lit film that you've ever seen in your life. But anyway, that's me. Alien Romulus, go check it out. Had a great time. Fede Alvarez, absolutely killing it. Huge fan. Keen to see what he does next. If he stays in this franchise, more than happy to see it. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and please check out the podcast if you can.